18th century, there were probably, because there were rules, you could argue it was actually a better time to meet a man or a woman than now.
Today, it's all broken down entirely, and we don't know what to do when we meet each other. I mean, are we shaking hands? Are we kissing one cheek? Are we kissing two cheeks? Are we not doing anything? Are we slapping each other on the back? Nobody knows what. It's all broken down.
How do you do it now? There are no rules.
The most acceptable way to behave was looking as though you didn't want a husband, even though you did. But, human nature being what it was, women and men had to find ways of attracting each other and letting somebody else know that was acceptable. And an awful lot of this would have happened on the dance floor.
Mr. Bingley, is it true that you have promised to hold a ball here at Netherfield?
A ball?
Dancing was absolutely central to their society in terms of finding a good husband and a good wife.
When you went to a dance, or if it was a spontaneous dance at the end of a party, you would almost always be in the presence of your parents. And so if you think about how you want to behave with your mum or dad watching.
I think there's always codes of conduct between young people when courting. We like to think that we've thrown off the shackles of etiquette, but I don't think that's true.
It was very defined, very clear, and really helpful, I think. Looking back, it's really, you stand up when a lady walks into the room and you bow. I think nowadays we think of it as very sort of repressed or over-formalised, and I quite like that. I think it gives it something else. I think it's actually quite releasing.
The fact that it's difficult to talk to someone who you're in love with is brilliantly highlighted in the etiquette of Austen's period, where you actually physically weren't allowed to talk to them alone, except for when you're dancing. That's the only time you're really alone together, and so to be able to use those dances in that way was a great way of forming collisions between the characters.
Do you think you could try and do it 3 times through within that set?
Men and women were able to be together without a chaperone for long periods of time, and they were able to talk to each other.
That's why the idea of balls were actually really exciting for them.
I'd dance all night if I could.
Because you could go and you could dance with the butcher's son, which is someone you, on a normal day, you would never be able to just approach and talk to on the street.
May I have the next dance, Miss Elizabeth?
May.
If you're only allowed to have the physical contact in the dance, then dancing with somebody is electric. It's so charged. And it's having that formal structure, especially the dance, playing the little moments in between two people in that very formal structure.
They don't really touch. Women don't shake hands with men, So the first time Darcy touches Elizabeth is when he helps her into the carriage.
Mr. Darcy?
Miss Elizabeth?
Which is a really beautiful moment. It's the first skin-on-skin touch, and I think today, we don't think twice about that at all. I shake people's hand, I give them a kiss, whatever. It's sort of really interesting to think, actually, if you don't have that sort of tactile nature, how important one touch can be.
As opposed to just coming up to someone going, "Oh, I'll punch you," or "Here's my number."